Matt had always known he was adopted, but it never really bothered him. His life with Gloria, his adoptive mother, was filled with love and warmth. Gloria had been his rock, a strong, compassionate woman who made every day feel safe and complete. Their small home brimmed with laughter, shared meals, and the everyday comforts of family. But there was always something lingering, a faint emptiness in Matt's heart that he couldn't explain. It was like a shadow that followed him, a question he never dared to ask. Who were his real parents? As the years passed, Matt buried that curiosity, choosing to focus on the life he had rather than the life he didn't know. But life has a way of unearthing old secrets when you least expect it. Little did Matt know his quiet existence was about to be shattered. The pendant he had worn for as long as he could remember, a gift from Gloria, was the key to unlocking everything. The truth about his past, the mystery of his identity, and the unimaginable secrets Gloria had kept hidden to protect him. Matt sat nervously in the waiting room, the weight of the upcoming job interview settling heavily on his shoulders. This opportunity meant everything: a fresh start, a chance to prove himself. Dressed in his best suit, he fidgeted with the familiar pendant around his neck, a small silver locket Gloria had given him years ago. It was a simple piece, yet it held deep sentimental value. Little did he know, that same pendant was about to change his life forever. As Matt entered the sleek, modern office, he was greeted by Mr. Thompson, a stern but polite man in his late 50s. They exchanged the usual pleasantries, but something shifted the moment Mr. Thompson's eyes locked onto the pendant hanging from Matt's neck. The older man's face, once composed and professional, drained of color, his gaze frozen on the small, delicate piece of jewelry. "Where did you get that?" Mr. Thompson asked, his voice trembling slightly, a rare crack in his otherwise controlled demeanor. Matt instinctively reached for the pendant, his fingers brushing its cool surface as confusion clouded his thoughts. "Oh, this? It's just a pendant. My mother gave it to me. Why?" Mr. Thompson leaned forward, his eyes wide with disbelief. "That pendant? It belonged to my daughter. She disappeared nearly 30 years ago." The room seemed to tilt as the weight of those words hit Matt like a freight train. His heart pounded in his chest, his mind racing to keep up with the bombshell that had just been dropped. His daughter? Matt could barely process it. How could something so personal to him, a cherished gift from Gloria, be tied to a stranger's family tragedy? For a moment he couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. He could only sit there, staring at Mr. Thompson in stunned silence. But the man wasn't done. With shaky hands, Mr. Thompson pulled out an old photograph from his desk drawer and slid it across the table. In the faded picture stood a young woman, smiling brightly, wearing the very same pendant around her neck. "That's my daughter, Sarah. She was pregnant when she vanished, and she would have been about your mother's age," Mr. Thompson said, his voice barely a whisper. The air in the room thickened with tension, the weight of an unspeakable truth beginning to form between them. Matt's world spun out of control as the reality of his past began to unravel. The pendant wasn't just a family keepsake, it was a clue, a key to a mystery he never knew existed. Everything he had believed about his life, his family, his identity, was crumbling before him. And now the person sitting across from him was not just a potential employer, but a man with a deep, personal connection to the very mystery Matt was about to uncover. Matt stormed out of Mr. Thompson's office, the world around him a blur. His hands trembled as he clutched the pendant, now feeling like a foreign object around his neck. Questions swirled in his mind, each one louder than the last. How could Gloria keep this from me? Who am I, really? The weight of the revelation pressed down on him, suffocating his thoughts. He had to confront her. He had to know the truth. That evening, Matt sat across from Gloria at their kitchen table, the same table where they had shared countless meals, laughs, and heart-to-heart talks. But tonight, the air was thick with tension. Gloria, sensing something was wrong, looked at him with concern, her usual warmth replaced by unease. Matt, unable to hold it in any longer, pulled the pendant from his neck and placed it between them. the silver glint catching the soft kitchen light. "Where did this really come from, Mom?" he asked, his voice breaking slightly. "I met someone today, someone who says this belonged to their daughter. What's going on?" Gloria's face paled, her hands trembling as she reached for the pendant, but stopped short, as if afraid to touch it. Her silence spoke volumes. Tears welled in her eyes, and for the first time in Matt's life, she seemed fragile, vulnerable. "I never wanted you to find out like this," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "I was trying to protect you. I thought I was doing the right thing." Matt's heart raced as Gloria began to unravel the painful truth. She explained how she had worked for the Thompsons as a young woman, a housekeeper in their grand estate. It was there that she met Sarah, Mr. Thompson's daughter, kind, beautiful, and most importantly, pregnant. But the circumstances surrounding Sarah's pregnancy were dark. Secrets within the Thompson family ran deep, and when Sarah vanished one night, leaving behind her newborn son, Gloria made a decision that would alter both their lives forever. "I found you, Matt. You were left behind, alone, and I couldn't bear to leave you there. I took you and raised you as my own, hoping to give you a life free from the darkness of the past," Gloria confessed, tears streaming down her face. "I never thought they'd come looking. I never thought the pendant would be found." Matt's heart ached with a confusing mix of betrayal and gratitude. Gloria, the woman who had loved him unconditionally, had also lied to him his entire life. But the truth was out now, and he couldn't turn back. He needed answers. Who was his real mother? What had happened to her? And why had she left him behind? With the weight of the pendant heavy in his palm, Matt made a vow to himself. He would uncover the truth, no matter how painful it might be, and he would finally confront the ghosts of his past. As Matt pressed Gloria for more details, her face twisted with the anguish of memories she had long buried. She hesitated, then exhaled deeply, knowing there was no escaping the truth any longer. "You see, Matt, I wasn't always just a housekeeper," she began, her voice shaking. "I worked for the Thompson family, yes, but I was also their confidant. I saw everything that went on behind those grand walls, and not all of it was as perfect as it seemed." Gloria's hands clenched in her lap, her eyes far away, reliving the moments that had haunted her for decades. Mr. Thompson was a powerful man, but power comes with secrets. His daughter, Sarah, was different. Kind, rebellious, always questioning the world she was born into. She got pregnant at a young age, and the father was someone the family disapproved of. They never told me exactly who, but there were whispers, rumors. The Thompsons wanted the scandal buried, and Sarah, she disappeared. One night, without a trace, gone, just like that. Matt felt a cold chill run down his spine. The image of his biological mother, Sarah, began to form in his mind. Young, scared, forced into the shadows by a family desperate to maintain their reputation. He could see Gloria trembling as she continued. "I found you, Matt. After Sarah vanished, I discovered you in a hidden room, wrapped in nothing but a thin blanket, left in the dark like some unwanted secret. The family was going to make you disappear too, just like they had with Sarah." Gloria's voice cracked as she recalled the fateful night. "I couldn't let them do it. I couldn't let them take you away or send you to who knows where. So I took you, Matt. I ran as far as I could and built a new life for us. I changed my name, moved to a small town, and raised you as if you were mine. I did everything I could to keep you safe, but I knew this day might come." The room felt heavy with the weight of Gloria's confession. Matt's mind raced, piecing together the fragments of his past. The woman who had raised him wasn't just his adoptive mother. She was his savior. She had sacrificed her own life to protect him from the twisted legacy of the Thompsons. But the questions gnawed at him. Why had Sarah left him behind? Was she forced to abandon him, or had she chosen to? And was she even still alive? Gloria looked at him, her eyes pleading. "I did what I had to, Matt. Maybe it wasn't right. Maybe it wasn't fair to you. But I did it because I loved you. I couldn't let them take you too." For the first time, Matt saw the full picture. The woman who had saved him was not just keeping secrets. She was fighting to protect him from a truth darker than he could have ever imagined. The past was far more twisted and dangerous than he had known, and now it was up to him to uncover the rest of it. With Gloria's confession still echoing in his mind, Matt knew he couldn't stop there. The truth was out, part of it, at least, but questions still clawed at him. He had to confront Mr. Thompson. Armed with Gloria's revelations, he marched back to the office where everything had started, determined to get answers about his biological mother, Sarah, and the forces that had torn his family apart. When he entered Mr. Thompson's office this time, the air was thick with tension. Mr. Thompson, still reeling from the initial shock of discovering Matt's connection to his daughter, looked up, startled by Matt's sudden reappearance. Without waiting for pleasantries, Matt threw the pendant down on the desk between them, its silver chain catching the light. "Tell me everything," Matt demanded, his voice trembling with anger and desperation. "Why did Sarah disappear? And why was I left behind? Gloria told me what happened, but I need to hear it from you." Mr. Thompson's face darkened, the weight of decades of guilt and hidden truths settling heavily on his shoulders. He leaned back in his chair, running a hand through his graying hair, eyes distant, as if grappling with the ghosts of his past. "I never wanted it to come to this," he began, his voice rough. "Sarah, she fell in love with the wrong man, someone dangerous. My family had plans for her, plans to marry her off to someone respectable. But she ran off, and when she came back, she was pregnant." Matt's heart pounded in his chest. Who was he? The man she loved? Mr. Thompson's eyes narrowed, his voice lowering to almost a whisper. "A man from a different world, someone my family couldn't control. When Sarah refused to tell us his name, we tried to manage the situation ourselves. She was about to have you, and the scandal would have destroyed everything we'd built." Matt stared at him in disbelief, struggling to comprehend the depth of the family's cruelty. "So you made her disappear? Like some kind of dirty secret?" The words felt venomous in his mouth. He could feel the rage building inside him, ready to explode. Mr. Thompson shook his head, his voice cracking. "I didn't know it would go that far. Sarah vanished before I could stop it. I thought maybe she'd come back. But then you were left behind, and Gloria, she took you." The room fell silent, the weight of unspoken truths suffocating. Matt could barely look at Mr. Thompson, his mind racing. His mother hadn't abandoned him. She had been trapped in a web of power and control, lost in a storm of secrets that even now were only beginning to unravel. "Where is she now?" Matt asked, his voice hollow. "Is she still alive?" Mr. Thompson's eyes, filled with regret, locked onto Matt's. "I don't know. I've spent years searching for her, but she's gone. Maybe she's still out there hiding. Maybe she didn't want to be found. But you're the key, Matt. You're all I have left of her." Matt stood, fists clenched. He wasn't sure if he could ever forgive the man sitting in front of him, but he knew one thing for certain. His journey wasn't over. Sarah might still be out there, and he was going to find her, no matter what it took. The search for Sarah had taken months. Matt had followed every lead, traced every shadow, and faced the painful reality that he might never find her. But just when he was beginning to lose hope, a call came. A woman matching Sarah's description had been spotted in a quiet coastal town, living under a different name. Matt's heart raced. This was it. He packed a bag and drove straight to the town, every mile filled with anxious anticipation and fear of what he might discover. When he arrived at the small, weather-beaten cottage, his heart pounded in his chest. He hesitated for a moment, staring at the door that separated him from the mother he had never known. What if she didn't want to see him? What if she had moved on, buried the past, and left him behind for good? But something deeper, the need for closure, for truth, for love, pushed him forward. He knocked, each rap on the door echoing in the quiet. The door creaked open, revealing a woman with soft, tired eyes and strands of gray in her once vibrant hair. She was older, worn by the years, but Matt recognized her instantly. There in her face, he saw glimpses of himself, the same eyes, the same quiet strength. Time seemed to freeze as they stared at each other, the air heavy with unspoken words. "Sarah?" Matt whispered, his voice barely audible. Are you my mother?" Her eyes filled with tears, and she stepped back, her hand flying to her mouth in shock. "Matt?" she breathed, her voice trembling. "Is it really you?" She looked at him as if seeing a ghost, her emotions unraveling in waves: disbelief, sorrow, and overwhelming love. Without another word, she pulled him into her arms, and for the first time in his life, Matt felt the warmth of his biological mother's embrace. Tears streamed down both their faces as they held each other tightly, years of pain and longing melting away in that single moment. "I never wanted to leave you," Sarah sobbed, her voice broken with regret. "They forced me to disappear. I tried to find you. I searched for so long, but I thought you were lost forever." Matt's heart ached as he realized the depth of her suffering. The mother he had dreamed of finding had never stopped loving him, had never given up hope. Matt pulled back slightly, looking into her tear-streaked face. "I found you, Mom," he said softly, his voice thick with emotion. "After all these years, I found you." They sat down together, their hands still clasped tightly, as Sarah began to tell him everything. How she had been trapped, how she had been forced to leave him behind to protect him from the dangerous forces within the Thompson family. How she had lived with that regret every single day. In that quiet, intimate reunion, Matt felt a sense of peace he had never known. The years of unanswered questions, the pain of abandonment, it all began to fade as he listened to his mother's story. This wasn't just the end of a search. It was the beginning of something new, a chance to rebuild, to heal, and to finally move forward as a family. The love that had been lost for so long had found its way back, and in that moment, Matt knew he was no longer alone. In the weeks following their reunion, Matt's life shifted in ways he never thought possible. The gaping hole in his heart, once filled with questions and doubt, began to heal. He spent countless hours with Sarah, listening to her stories, learning about the life she had lived in the shadows. The more he heard, the more he understood that her absence hadn't been a choice, but a painful necessity. Sarah had lived with guilt and regret, but now, with Matt by her side, she too found peace. The bond between mother and son, once severed by fear, was finally mended by love. But the journey didn't stop there. Matt couldn't move forward without making amends with Gloria, the woman who had raised him with unconditional love, despite the lies and secrets. One evening he sat with her in their living room, the tension between them slowly dissolving. "You saved me, Gloria," Matt said softly, his voice filled with gratitude. "I know why you did what you did, and I can never repay you for giving me the life I had. You were my mother in every way that mattered." Tears welled in Gloria's eyes, the weight of her guilt lifted by Matt's forgiveness. "I only ever wanted to protect you," she whispered, her voice cracking with emotion. "I never meant to hurt you." They embraced, the years of hidden truths finally laid bare. There were no more secrets between them, only the shared understanding of sacrifice, love, and redemption. Gloria, Sarah, and Matt, each of them had been broken by the past, but together they were rebuilding something stronger. In the end, Matt's journey wasn't just about uncovering the truth. It was about finding a way to love and forgive, even in the face of betrayal and loss. Through the trials and heartache, he had discovered that family isn't defined by blood, but by the bonds of love and the courage to seek redemption. Together, they forged a new beginning, one built on honesty, forgiveness, and the unbreakable power of family. Matt's story is a testament to the power of love, forgiveness, and resilience. In the face of betrayal, secrets, and heartache, he found not just the truth, but also the strength to heal. His journey reminds us that no matter how lost we feel, love has the power to bring us back, mend what's broken, and guide us toward redemption. Family, in all its complexities, can always find a way to come together, stronger than ever. If this story inspired you, imagine what else is waiting for you. Don't miss out. Hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and explore more powerful stories on our channel. Your next favorite video could be just a click away.